You could have watched this video a day early. Check out my Patreon for more details. Why, hello everybody. All right, so today, this week, we are playing Monster Hunter Rise on Linux via Proton. And this video was recorded earlier, and I'm doing the post commentary after I recorded the gameplay. So just to discuss what I'm using right now, I'm using a very, this is still low rank, right? This is still low rank in Rise. I'm using just a few attack up pieces, some constitution, you know, just really basic stuff. And I'm using the Kelby slingshot. And the reason I'm doing that is because, honestly, I really like the bow in Rise. I was trying to experiment and branch out to other weapons when the PC version came out. And I knew that I wanted to try to make Lance and Sword and Shield work, right? And Sword and Shield is really fun. It is a very good weapon to use. But the problem with Sword and Shield, not really so much the problem, it's just that, like, I don't know. I played the Sword and Shield a lot in 4U and Generations, and I know that they play way differently in those games than they do in Rise. But I don't know. I wanted to do something that I wanted to do something that I hadn't done before, and I've never really mained the bow before. And in this one, I mained the hunting horn on the Switch version. So it was just sort of like, oh, I'm gonna branch out and I'm gonna try new weapons. And it was worth it, you know? I really like hunting horn in this game. And honestly, I like bow a lot in this game too. It's just so mobile. One of the Switch skills that I've changed up is that I have the counter dodge thing, where if you time your dodge properly, you just straight up avoid whatever attack is coming at you and then deal damage in response. The tricky part about this weapon and this specific dodge is that the timing is very strict. Well, not very strict, but it's pretty strict, right? If you fuck up by like, you know, a hair's width, you'll mess up. But it's easy enough to where I can consistently dodge through rolls and attacks if I just know the timing, right? And that's the thing you gotta know, is not when the monster is going to attack, but more so when the hit is going, when the attack is gonna hit you. That's what you have to time. And so there are some moves that have like really tricky timing, like Tigrex in particular is one of the notable ones, where his spin attack, the spin move that he does, the hitbox on there is pretty, not misleading, but it's hard to gauge when the attack will actually land on you, and so therefore it's hard to gauge when you can do this move. Anyway, the main thing that I wanted to talk about today is, obviously we're going to be talking a lot about Rise, and we're going to be talking about how it runs on Linux. And this isn't going to be like a big, like, technical breakdown of how the game runs, and I'm not going to show like frame timing graphs or whatever. That's Digital Foundry does that kind of stuff, you know. Maybe if you guys really want to see that stuff, maybe I can consider doing some more researched, you know, content involving how a game runs on Dolphin or on Proton versus how it runs on Windows. But I'm positive those channels already exist, and I'm positive that those videos already exist. So, you know, what would I add to the conversation with that kind of thing? Anyway, but you know, maybe that's something, I don't fucking know. But based on my experience with running Monster Hunter Rise on Linux, it's actually really great. So, a bit of a caveat: this video is currently running at 1080p. It's also running at 16:9, but not really. Also, I'm gonna fucking die here in a second. Watch. There it is. Okay. So, when I'm recording, obviously that adds a bit of overhead, right? What I didn't expect is just how much overhead that would add. And so I needed to downgrade the graphics a bit. Right now it's running at about 1080p. And I scooted the UI in on the sides, so technically this game is running at 2560 by 1080 or whatever the fuck it is. The 21:9 aspect ratio over 1080p is what this game is currently running at, and I just scooted the UI in and only recorded the part of the screen that actually mattered. So it doesn't look weird to you guys, but just know that when I was recording this, it was indeed running at 2560 by 1080. But even then, running at that resolution with almost everything almost maxed out, actually, I was able to get a very consistent 60 FPS. Like very, very clean and easy 60 FPS. You notice that when the video first started, there were some frame skips and some hiccups that happened, and that happens on this game. That's the biggest criticism I can draw of this game, is specifically how it runs on Linux. Whenever you first start the game or first load into an area, the game kind of hangs for a second, and I honestly have no idea why. Oh, hi, Magnum Aloe. I have no idea. Oh, I hit my knee. Okay, we're fine. I have no idea why the game behaves like it does when it hangs like that, but let's be honest, a new release, a brand new game running this well at all on Linux right out the gate is honestly pretty impressive. This game runs absolutely flawlessly, and it gets even better when I'm not recording. So when I'm not recording and I don't have that extra overhead of processing all that information, I can run this game max graphics, 3440 by 1440 resolution, everything, and I can get up to 120 FPS very consistently. The only thing is that sometimes the frame rate dies a bit when you're loading into new areas or first booting the game. Other than that, very consistent 120 FPS. And keep in mind, I'm running a Ryzen 3900X and an RTX 2070 Super. So pretty good parts, but not like top of the line parts. I would say these are they're still above average, obviously, but the fact that the game runs this well on this machine, even on Linux, man, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get a solid 60 on my 970 out in the other room. That's actually something I need to test. I need to test how this game runs on Frankenpav, which I haven't done yet, unfortunately. But so far, this game is running really, really well. I'm very, very happy with how this game runs on Linux. And if you are one of the Linux gamers that follows me, and maybe I've piqued your interest of Monster Hunter from the videos that I've made in the past, hey, take it from me, the PC port of this game is a very, very good experience on Linux. I have heard reports of some people running into problems with this game, and it doesn't really run all that well, but this is one of those situations where I just have newer hardware, and so it's hard for me to judge if the game runs well on older hardware. Like, that's one of the things that I need to do, is I need to test it on my i7 6700 and my 970, just to see how well it runs there. I don't know how it's going to run on older hardware, but I've heard reports that it's not running great there, so I don't know. What I recommend you do in that case is download the demo and see how it runs on your machine there, and if it runs well and you like the demo, then hey, feel free to take the plunge, because this game is fucking phenomenal. Like genuinely, right? I don't like it as much as 4. We all know that 4 Ultimate is my favorite Monster Hunter game, but Rise is still a very good entry point into the series, and I'm very happy to see people make the jump. And that actually kind of does lead into another thing that I've seen as of late, where in Monster Hunter related discussions on the internet. Oh my god, excuse me. Sorry, I just had dinner, so I'm a little gassy right now. I made myself and my family some homemade dumplings. Those are pretty good, but well, I'm off topic right now. I've seen some discussion in the Monster Hunter community over a few things. The two big things that I've noticed, the two big discussion points that I've seen recently are either accessibility arguments and whether or not a game is accessible or not, and cheating in items. And I kind of want to give my 2 cents in this video, just to I don't know, just for the sake of conversation in this video, open up a discussion. And if you guys have any responses to whatever I'm discussing in this video, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll respond to you down there. I do want to continue this kind of thing because I do have some very interesting. Well, I don't want to say interesting, but I have my own opinions on these kinds of things. In general, I'm really not a fan of item cheating. In most cases, there are some cases where I feel like it's fine, but in most cases, I'm not really a fan of it, and especially in Monster Hunter. So the main catalyst for this is there are some people who are playing the PC version of Rise, and they're just hacking in items and duplicating items and giving themselves 9,999 of every single crafting material and just crafting all the best endgame armor sets and everything. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. I'm not gonna say you can't do, like, it's your fucking time and money. You can do whatever you want with it, right? But my response to that is you're an idiot and you're robbing yourself of the experience of the game, right? If you're allowed to cheat yourself out of an experience of a game, I'm allowed to criticize you for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say people are not allowed to do things, because that's not right. Right, and if you feel fine and you're like guilt-free, like I don't care, I just want to get the armor and do the game and whatever, sure, that's fine. That's your life. It doesn't affect me. But if you're coming to me and you're wondering like, wow, how can I get the most out of this game and how do I enjoy this game to the fullest? Honestly, it's about the grind, because the whole point of Monster Hunter is, I've seen some people say that that the point of it is to hunt the big monsters and to feel cool about hunting the big monsters. And yes, that is definitely, that feeling definitely comes from the game, but I feel like the most important aspect of Monster Hunter is that the game is supposed to be a challenge. And I do hold the opinion that Rise is the easiest game of the series. You know, it definitely has its difficult moments. You know, when you get to the end, when you get near the end of a high rank, and you're doing like rampage missions solo and all that stuff. Like, yeah, the game can get pretty challenging, but I still wouldn't say it's as hard as 4 Ultimate or Freedom Unite or 3 Ultimate, right? And I feel like a lot of that difficulty from those older games just come from the clunkiness of it. And the more that I've played, the more Monster Hunter games that I play, because I've been trying to catch up on Monster Hunter's history. You know, I played a little bit of Freedom Unite. I don't want to say that I've played, 500 hours of the game and I know exactly how to play it and everything. It's like, no, I played like 2 missions max in Freedom Unite. And it's definitely a bit of a culture shock to go from Rise to Freedom Unite, where that game where it was on the PlayStation Portable and that game didn't even have a fucking right analog stick, so you had to Monster Hunter Claw. Like, that's where the claw hand grip comes from. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Monster Hunter Claw and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's fucking wild, the shit we had to put up with. By the way, I'm currently trying to cut the tail off of Rathalos by using the arrow attack. And it's pretty funny. Hi, Great Roggy. How you doing? What a bitch. But yeah, I would say that Monster Hunter more so gives you a challenge, and it's up to you to work around that challenge and overcome it, you know? What makes the armor sets in Monster Hunter games special, and what makes any challenge in any game special, is that it's a challenge, right? And the special thing about Monster Hunter is that it's not so much about competing with other people and trying to get the best times or trying to be the best player. It's more so just sharing what victories you have with other people. And there are people out there who are very gatekeepy and very like, oh man, you didn't do this. Oh man, you're a bad hunter then if you haven't done this. Like, I would never do that, right? I feel like what I'm about to say is not gatekeeping, right? And if you disagree, then you disagree. And I'm not going to be able to change your mind about that. But the main point of this entire discussion is that not every game needs to be immediately accessible. And what I mean by that is that everyone should have the opportunity to play any game. You should have the opportunity to buy or acquire whatever game you want, but the game does not owe you a victory. You know, like, there are games out there that are piss easy, and they're still fun because they're piss easy. Like, literally any Kirby game, right? Kirby games are so easy, but they're still fun, they're still charming, they're enjoyable, and it's still a great experience even if the game is really fucking easy. Right? And that's just my opinion. Some people out there probably think Kirby games are really difficult, and that's totally okay. You're allowed to think that. Everybody's allowed to think whatever they want about whatever game. That's just how opinions work, right? But objectively speaking, Kirby games are way easier than Monster Hunter games. And the Monster Hunter team as of late has done a lot to make Monster Hunter more accessible to people. And they've removed aspects from the game like paintballs or the hot and cool drink system or other more annoying aspects of the game, right? And that might be a very good thing for newcomers. I think Rise is a very good newcomer-friendly game in the series. But I wouldn't say it's like the most representative of what Monster Hunter is. And I don't want to say that it's like, this is not the true Monster Hunter experience if you're not dragging your dick and balls through a mile of broken glass, but like playing through 4 and playing through even Generations to some extent. You can see me still trying to cut off that tail. I don't think I cut off the tail in this mission. No, I don't. Not in this one, but in the next one, in the next one. That one's funny. But yeah. Playing through the older Monster Hunter games, I definitely have this picture in my head of what Monster Hunter is, and both Monster Hunter World and even Monster Hunter Rise lose a little bit of that, you know? I miss the cool drink system. I miss the cool and hot drink system. I miss paintballs, you know? Yeah, paintballs are clunky and they're annoying to deal with, and you have to juggle that paintball status all the time, and it gets old after a while, but I don't know, it feels more grounded, if that makes any sense. It feels more like you're trying to thrive in an overtly hostile environment. Monster Hunter Rise is more fun, for sure. Like, you can just get into the fights and start hunting some shit, right? But you lose a little bit of that magic that you get from the older games, especially when you're playing with friends. Oh my god. Like, I can't... Like, I can play Monster Hunter for a while by myself. Like, I can go through all the hunts, and I can get armor sets, and I can make weapons, and I can do all that stuff. But when I get bored, you know? But you know what prevents me from getting bored with Monster Hunter games? Playing with friends. I don't care what monster we're fighting, as long as I'm playing with them and just clearing missions, I'm having a blast. And, yeah, you still get that here in Rise, absolutely, but I don't know, man. I feel like you lose a little bit more of that charm, that clunk. The clunk adds to it. You know, it's like Dark Souls 1 versus Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls 1 just is a better game. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this conversation here so I can cut into the next hunt real quick. So, BRB. Ooh, these frames. Oh, they ain't great. But again, that only happens at the start of a hunt. It never happens during a hunt, or at least not in my experience. It doesn't happen during a hunt. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about just how games aren't supposed to be easy. I don't know, because like there are hard games out there and there are easy games out there. With the amount of stuff that people are making, like it's okay to not like a game. If you think Monster Hunter is too hard, that's okay. There are plenty of great games out there that I just don't jive with, all right? Like, I want to I want to appreciate gaming as a medium, and so that means I want to play as much stuff as I can, you know? I want to understand the history of the medium, like where things came from, how things evolved, and all that sort of things. But I'm not gonna like every single game out there. You know, that's just kind of how it works. You know, everybody knows here, and if you don't know, you're gonna learn now. I don't like story-driven games at all. I think story-driven games are pretty lame for the most part. There are some notable exceptions, like Papers, Please, but for the most part, like when a game is heavily focused on its story, like 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna bounce off that game super hard, right? I'm gonna play God of War. I'm gonna play God of War on the Steam release eventually. And I know at this point it's already out, but Whenever I get the chance to buy the game at a decent price. I'm not gonna pay $60 for that game. I'm not gonna pay $60 for a game that I'm probably gonna bounce off of super hard. You know, if I can get it for like 30, sure, or if I can, maybe even 40. But I'm not gonna pay 60. Anyway, like it's just because you play a game doesn't mean it owes you a win or it owes you something that you will like personally, right? Like. Everybody's guilty of complaining about things, right? I'm not going to say that I'm above complaining about petty shit in video games, because no, I complain about petty shit in games all the time, right? It's a kind of a flaw of mine. But like, I don't think that the proper response to this game is too hard. I don't like it. I don't think the proper response to that is, oh, I'm just going to cheat. You know, I have a friend who constantly makes jokes to me about like, cool, I'll just save edit some shit in. And that like, if you're watching this right now, it like, I know you're joking. I understand you're joking, but there are people out there who just do that. And I've known people who have done that before, and that really bothers me, especially in something like Monster Hunter. Because the game is about overcoming challenge. And yeah, there are parts of the grind that are annoying, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, you need to do your decoration grinding in Monster Hunter World. That I agree is bullshit, because it's literally just RNG, right? Like it's a slot machine. Like there's no way, if there was a way for you to influence what type of decorations you got, and there was some sort of like methodology to get exactly what you want, then yeah, I'd be more okay with it. But like, there are special cases like the decoration grinding in World where it's like, okay, fine, whatever, cheat that. I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. But I think cheating is not okay when it takes away from the experience of whatever game you're playing. You know, like if you were to cheat your way. By cheating, I mean like hacking your save file. If you were to hack your save file in like a Mario game, and you put yourself at the end of the game, and all you had to do was beat the final level, and you reach credits, and there you go, you win the game, well, what kind of experience is that? And that's kind of the same thing when you're playing Monster Hunter. It's not about hunting. Monster Hunter is not about hunting monsters, even though it is. I would say Monster Hunter as a series is more about you're put, a challenge is put before you, and it is your job to overcome that challenge. And in the older games, that challenge was fucking brutal, like genuinely fucking brutal. And there are a lot of like clunky, almost outdated mechanics in Monster Hunter, right? But it's a part of it, you know? And I want people to experience this game the way that I experienced it, in the sense that I want them to feel the gratification that I felt playing this game. And that's important to me, you know? That's the main thing. Is not that I want people to suffer like I did, because I don't give a shit about that, right? I don't care how much you suffer while playing a game. But what I want from people who play these games and who try them out is I want them to feel that same feeling that I got years ago when I was playing Monster Hunter 4 with my friends at school during lunch period. You know, I don't know if it's possible for them to experience the game the same. You know, really, it kind of isn't possible for them to experience the game the same way that I did. But damn it, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to let them experience the game in the same way. You know, give them that same feeling, because it was so cool. Like, grinding for Berserk Tetsukabra armor after a test in math class, like, that was cool. And finally having that art, like, I fought Berserk Tetsukabra like probably, I don't know, 15 times in a row. And after getting that armor set and finally having it and being able to show my friends like, yo, bros, check this shit out, it was so fucking cool, and it felt awesome to finally have that. And then when you see people who are just okay with cheating in high rank crafting materials and crafting the best end game armor right at the beginning of the game and just blazing through it all. It's like, that's disappointing to me, you know? And I want to reiterate that if that's what you do, then yeah, it's disappointing, but whatever. I can't control what you do, obviously. You know, I'm not gonna get mad at you for doing it. That's madness to get mad at someone for doing it. But it is disappointing. You're robbing yourself of the experience of the game, you know, and it just feels wrong in a way. You know, by the way, hunting Tigrex with this fucking bow setup is so goddamn cool. Oh my god, I fucking love hunting. I love the bow in this game. Oh my god. Like, it's gonna be hard to try out the bow in other Monster Hunter games, mostly because of the whole fucking, you know, mixed, like, you have a different armor set for Swordmaster and Gunner. And even that, like, that's actually a very interesting thing, because I'm thinking about that. And I actually really, really like the fact that they took away that mechanic. You know, it always seemed weird to me that armor sets were separated between Gunner and Blade Master, right? But after playing through World and Rise, and then going back to 4 or Generations or Freedom Unite, I almost kind of miss it in a way, you know? Maybe I'm just clutching to any sense of familiarity with the older games. Because we all fear change, right? That's just something that we all fear, right? Am I being nostalgic over the old games and I want things to be the way that I played them back when I first played them? Yes, absolutely. Everybody does that, all right? But looking at that particular thing, a friend of mine actually brought up something very interesting with that, and I'm going to use her argument here in this. It's like, yeah, it was clunky, but you got unique design, like unique armor for gunning, where you'd have like arm guards for bows and gunners, and you'd have like specific armors that's like designed to be for gunning, and it just looks more appropriate for what you're using as a weapon, you know? And they have different defense values and everything, so when you're gunning, you obviously have less defense. And so having different armor sets allows them to better craft each individual armor set for specifically gunning, right? When you have armor sets that do... You have monsters and armor sets that are absolutely, like, geared towards gunning in World and Rise, but they're not going to be as specialized, you know? Like, every armor set in the new system kind of needs to fit in a certain... They all need to be... I don't know. They need to be broad enough to be able to use in any mix set. I don't know. It's an interesting change. And you might like it, you might not like it, and that is up to you. I'm still thinking about whether or not I like it or not. I do agree with my friend that it is kind of weird to look at what was always seen as the Blade Master armor and watch that armor carry around a gun, you know? Because, let's be perfectly honest, if you're playing Monster Hunter, and you've been playing Monster Hunter for a while, you understand that two of the most important things in the games are the monsters themselves and the armor sets you get from those monsters. And as we've learned from Rise, if the armor and the weapons look like shit, and they look bland and boring, it's not going to be nearly as satisfying. That was one of my biggest complaints with World, was that the weapons and some of the armor sets just looked bad compared to the previous games. And it was really weird. It was really, really weird. Thankfully, they brought a lot of that back with Rise, but still having that system removed. Oh my god, excuse me again. I'm still getting my fucking dinner gas out. Pardon. But having that system taken out is weird. You know, it's not weird, but it's different. Rise and World are very different games from previous generations, right? I would say that 4 Ultimate has more in common with Freedom Unite than it does Rise or World. I don't know if people would argue with me about that, because that's the way I see it, right? But like 4U is pretty streamlined, all things considered. You have a lot of movement options available to you, and all the weapons are there, and you have all these different like tactics you can do with it, and the movesets are expanded. But it still maintains that like clunkiness. It maintains enough of that clunkiness to make it distinct, you know? And there is that fear. There is a fear in I've noticed this fear in a lot of veterans of Monster Hunter, that the games are getting too easy, or they're trying to maintain that palatability for general audiences, and that desire to be as palatable to mainstream audiences as possible kind of dilutes the overall charm and experience of a game. I get that. I've seen that happen before. Like Dark Souls 3. But I kind of don't see that happening, or at least I hope it doesn't happen, right? Monster Hunter is always going to be Monster Hunter, and it's always going to maintain that sense of clunk, right? But even with Rise, Rise is more on the level of that of a Devil May Cry game than it is, well, I don't want to say that. Compared to every other game in the series, it has more in common to general character action games. Just in terms of the moves available, the fact that you can swap moves now, the breadth of actions you can do as a character in this game, it's honestly kind of staggering, almost. Like, Monster Hunter, the previous Monster Hunter games were also informational brick walls. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, Rise is an informational brick wall in terms of mechanics and moves, whereas the older games were informational brick walls in terms of generalized rules of the world and all the items you had to manage and all the little rituals you had to do before and during hunts, and all of these little rules that you learn over time, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, when this monster is in this area and you do this, then this will happen, and that can be either a good thing or a bad thing. Like, if you were to, like, for example, let's, I mean, we did it in this hunt. If you put down the tinged meat on the ground for Tigrex to eat, Tigrex will go for it, and it'll become paralyzed, right? Or in older games, if you were fighting Devil Joe, you place down any meat, that motherfucker's gonna stop whatever he's doing and immediately go for that meat. And that's kind of, okay, here we go. By the way, that was cool. That was cool. And he's about to die here, so, anyway, and bam, there it is. I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts. In previous games, you're learning more about the monsters, but in this one, you learn more about yourself as a hunter, which is actually kind of interesting to think about. I think I tapped onto something that's pretty interesting. Anyway, if you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate it, because I've been rambling for like how long? Fucking 40 minutes? I don't know. Like 25 minutes? I don't fucking know how long this video is gonna be. Thanks for watching. This has been a very interesting one. I just wanted to get some of my thoughts out on Monster Hunter in general. Because like I've been doing a lot of thinking about Rise and whether or not I like the game, and it's just been I don't know. It's been eating away at my head, and I'm definitely gonna talk about this more on stream later. If ever I play Monster Hunter 4, if I play any Monster Hunter game on stream, I'm definitely gonna talk about it. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a good day. There will be a link to my Patreon at the end of the video and in the description down below. If you want to become a patron, go ahead and you'll gain access to bonus videos, behind the scenes content. You'll see a bunch of cool shit, and you'll get these fancy shoutouts that you're seeing right now, right? I'm sorry, my brain is kind of frazzled because I'm still thinking about that thing that I just stumbled upon. But yeah, thanks to the patrons, thanks to all of you who watched this video. The bonus video for this week, I'm honestly not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm probably just going to take a look at something in my garbage pile. I will figure that out though, and I will have a bonus video up. I apologize if this is kind of slapdash together. We're kind of expecting a winter storm right now here where I live, and that may or may not knock out power, so I'm gonna see how tonight shakes out. But anyway, thanks for watching. It was great to talk about all this again. If you have anything that you want to say to me, leave a comment. Go subscribe to the Patreon if you want. It's cool. Yeah. Have a wonderful night, everybody.